thank you. I have, whoa, that seems really loud to me. But I do have one announcement, actually. Dr. Sobey's students, if you want to give credit for being here after the lecture, you need to meet with her on the outside and she'll sign you in. Obviously, you know why we're here, to talk about the psychology of love. We're going to look at it through several lenses. We're going to look at it through the science of psychology. So what have we learned about love, looking at it as a discipline? We're going to look at the what causes us to be attracted, what causes us to pair up, how might we be more successful in that, and then we're also going to look at some of the unhealthy parts of pairing up and ways in which we might manage that, and we're also going to look at things like breaking up and divorce, because that's also a part of our lives. And so how does that happen, and how might we manage it better should that happen to one of us? So I want to start with some images, and I want you to imagine or help me think about, are these images of love? Or not? I was prepared, but obviously not quite. Now we'll see. Yes. Love? We hope so, right? They're getting married. It'd be a good time to be in love. How about this? Love? Probably, right? More love? Love? Yeah. Well, what about this? Yeah, they could be. We have bad days, but maybe not. What about this? Sort of a low rumbling, right? Not sure, maybe. Hopefully not. What about that? So, what is love? We saw some images, and one of the things, clearly, regardless of the last couple too, it's probably fair to say that when we talk about love, we're not talking about one thing. But the kind of love you experience in your life varies. The love that you have for your brother or your sister is different than the love that you have for your boyfriend or your girlfriend, which is different than the love that you have for your grandparents or for your best friend. So one of the things we know in doing factor analysis, and factor analysis is essentially when we take a look at attributes that are present in people's lives, and we do factor analysis all around anything, but what we look at is people in love, or people who have love, connections between relationships, and what are the categories that emerge over studying thousands and thousands of people who are in loving relationships. Dr. Sternberg is probably the biggest authority. I'm going to bet many of you have seen what I'm going to show you because we cover it essentially in every class. We cover it in general psychology, we cover it in developmental psychology, we cover it in social psychology, maybe not in learning, clearly not in learning. But what Sternberg has told us, again through this factor analysis model, is that there are three elements of love which we can combine in multiple ways. We'll start down here. That you can have love that is based entirely on passion. This is that innate physical attraction to somebody. This is, I want to touch them. I want to have sex with them. I want, depending on their developmental stages, but this is that physical attraction. Intimacy is that kind of love that you have for your best friend. This is where you share your deepest feelings and emotions. That you can trust this person. If you tell them a secret, they're going to keep it for you. Commitment, some of the theorists now are adding, which I like, is choice to this, although Sternberg's model uses commitment, but I like the concept of commitment slash choice. This is this idea that you are committed to a relationship, that you are choosing to be in the relationship. And there are examples of where that happens, where that only happens. You're choosing to stay married because of the family. You're choosing to stay married because of financial reasons. There are other examples of this. You know, you may not, hopefully, clearly you're not going to have, you know, passion for your elderly grandmother, and you may not have, if you're lucky, you may have, but not everyone can tell their grandmother their deepest secrets, but you would care for your grandmother if she needs it. So we could have any one of these three, but then we can also start having multiple versions of it. Companionate love is where we have both intimacy and where we have commitment. And for most of us, this would be the best friend in our life. That person that we really are committed to them. We're gonna choose to make this relationship to work. I want the relationship to work, and I know that I can trust them emotionally. A romantic love is where you have intimacy and passion, but no commitment. So it may not last very long, but it's a whole lot of fun while it happens. We can travel and share things and just, you know, romp through the hay and do all of those cool things. But, you know, the idea of making it work, you know, once one of those wanes, not so much. Passion and commitment is simply a relationship based on sex. No, passion isn't just sex, but it really is that emotional connection. Of course, what we're looking for, at least in our culture, is consummate love, where we have all three. The value of having more than one intersection of these is that, as we'll talk about in a few moments, these wane. That in a relationship, passion can come and go. You have children, passion drops. You have a lot of stress at school or work, passion can drop. Intimacy. This, you know, I just can't talk to this person right now. So what happens is, by having more connections, you increase the probability of the relationship sustaining itself. I want to share with you a singular definition now, which I think cuts through all of the other pieces and makes love a fairly simple measure. This comes from originally the work, the psychologist of Erich Fromm. M. Scott Peck is the one who probably made it most available to the public. Others have used it since then, but defines love as the will to extend oneself for the purpose of nurturing one's own or another's spiritual growth. I love this definition because it makes it really simple to make sense out of, is this a loving relationship? And by spiritual growth, what Peck and Hooks and Fromm